Ontario Premier Doug Ford, he is calling for his country to use every tool in our toolbox, a direct quote, including cutting off Canadian energy to the United States if Trump follows through with his threat. Warning, quote, the Americans are going to feel the pain as well.
In the waning days of 2024, alliances were about to be tested by an offhand comment that would echo through boardrooms and governments alike. At a private dinner at Mar-a-Lago, amidst an atmosphere of political anticipation, then President-elect Donald Trump turned to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau with a startling suggestion that Canada might well serve better as America's 51st state. What began as a controversial joke quickly ignited a firestorm of debate, setting the stage for a trade war that would not only rattle the economic foundations of both nations, but also threaten the stability of the U.S. energy grid. In the realm of international relations, few relationships are as intertwined as that of the United States and Canada. For decades, Canada has been a reliable partner, a supplier of vital energy, minerals, and raw materials. Yet, beneath the surface of mutual benefit, tensions have been simmering. The remark made that fateful evening wasn't just provocative banter. It was the spark that set off a chain reaction of political maneuvers, economic strategies, and strategic posturing. Following that infamous dinner, the situation escalated rapidly. Within days, Donald Trump amplified his remarks on social media, referring to Justin Trudeau not as Canada's Prime Minister, but as Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. His off-the-cuff posts on platforms like Truth Social quickly became fodder for heated debates across the internet. Although initially met with amusement and skepticism, these statements soon became a rallying cry for a new political narrative, a narrative that intertwined national pride, economic policy, and the raw strategic importance of resources. On December 18, 2024, Trump boldly claimed that a significant number of Canadians supported the idea of joining the United States. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, his assertions found a receptive audience among his supporters, igniting social media trends and prompting national news outlets to report on what many assumed was another of his provocative Trumpisms. But behind the theatrics lay a serious policy question. Could economic pressure be used to redefine the relationship between two of North America's largest economies? As the calendar turned to early January 2025, Trump intensified the pressure. Citing a perceived imbalance in economic contributions, he announced a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods, a move justified by his claim that the United States was effectively subsidizing Canada to the tune of nearly $300 billion. His argument was simple yet startling. If Canada wasn't playing by our rules, it would be forced into submission through economic might. The reaction from Ottawa was swift and resolute. Canadian officials recognized that the stakes were higher than the mere exchange of tariffs. In response to the U.S. announcement, Canada unveiled its own counter-tariffs, targeting $155 billion worth of American imports. These measures weren't limited to just trade penalties. They extended to potential restrictions on American access to critical exports, such as energy products and key minerals. The message was unequivocal. Canada would not be coerced into a subordinate role. At the heart of this escalating dispute is a matter of resource dependency. The United States relies heavily on Canada for its energy needs. To put it into perspective, Canada is the fourth largest oil producer in the world, pumping out approximately 4.6 million barrels per day, with over 97% of its oil exports destined for the United States. Canadian oil, largely originating from Alberta's vast oil sands, is the lifeblood of American refineries across the Midwest, Gulf Coast, and beyond. Any disruption to this supply could spell disaster for the U.S. energy grid. But oil is just one piece of the puzzle. Canada is also a critical supplier of natural gas, producing roughly 17.9 billion cubic feet per day, of which nearly half finds its way into the U.S. market. The country's role extends to key minerals and metals as well: nickel for electric vehicle batteries, aluminum for manufacturing, and zinc for essential construction applications. With U.S. energy and industrial sectors deeply intertwined with Canadian exports, any strategic shift by Canada could have far-reaching consequences. Delving deeper into the numbers reveals a complex economic chessboard. The trade relationship between the U.S. and Canada is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. For instance, the annual trade in Canadian oil with the United States is valued at around $124 billion. In addition, Canada's natural gas exports generated approximately $13 billion in revenue in 2023, underscoring the country's pivotal role in fueling American homes and industries. Beyond energy, Canada's contributions to critical manufacturing sectors are equally significant. The nation is the sixth largest nickel producer globally, with nearly half of its nickel exports destined for the U.S., a vital component in the production of electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems. Similarly, Canada ranks as the fourth largest producer of aluminum, with the industry generating around $14.2 billion in export revenue. Such figures not only highlight Canada's industrial prowess, but also underscore the potential for economic disruption if these supply chains were to be severed. These detailed data points reveal the extent of America's reliance on Canadian resources. If Canada were to shift its trade focus towards other markets in Asia or Europe, a move already under consideration amid rising tensions, the United States could face significant shortages. In a scenario where American states like Minnesota, Michigan, or New York lose access to Canadian electricity and energy supplies, the resulting power shortages could trigger widespread economic fallout. The unfolding trade conflict has also prompted Canada to reevaluate its economic alliances. Recognizing the risks of overdependence on a single market, Canadian policymakers have been actively diversifying trade relationships. Efforts to strengthen ties with countries in Asia, such as China, Japan, and South Korea, are well underway. The completion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion in May 2024, which nearly tripled its capacity to 890,000 barrels per day, has enabled Canada to more effectively target these markets with its oil exports. Such strategic diversification is not limited to energy. Canadian provinces are also exploring ways to enhance domestic trade by breaking down internal barriers and fostering a more resilient national market. This approach, bolstered by trade agreements with the European Union and the Asia-Pacific region, reflects Canada's determination to secure economic sovereignty amid external pressures. By reducing its reliance on the United States, Canada aims to safeguard its future against unilateral economic coercion. Yet, this realignment is not without its challenges. As Canada shifts its focus, the global competition for critical resources intensifies. In a world increasingly driven by the demand for renewable energy and sustainable industrial practices, securing stable sources of oil, natural gas, and key minerals is more important than ever. The U.S., for its part, must now confront the reality that its long-standing economic partner is evolving into a more independent and strategically diversified nation. The implications of this trade conflict extend far beyond mere economic statistics. They cut to the core of national sovereignty, energy security, and the geopolitical balance in North America. On one hand, the United States finds itself heavily dependent on Canadian resources, oil, natural gas, nickel, aluminum, and more, which together form the backbone of its industrial and energy systems. On the other hand, Canada's calculated response and diversification strategy signal a commitment to maintaining its autonomy in the face of external pressure.